Shehzad Poonawalla, to you first. N. Ram was on my show a short while ago and he said what has happened is an attack on the freedom of the press. It shows that we have an authoritarian government at times which is lawless in the way it functions. How do you respond to those very strong words coming from someone as senior as N. Ram?
Personally, I have a lot of regard for Mr. N. Ram, even though once Hindu under his leadership published a cropped article and a cropped document of the Ministry of Defence and tried to give it another spin in the Rafale case in 2019, but I don't want to judge him on that. But he made 2 or 3 assertions. First of all, Rajdeep, and I hope you won't interrupt me, the New York Times article which basically said that Mr. Neville Roy Singham is a front of the Chinese deep state and he's pumping in money into organizations including NewsClick happened in August 2023. This investigation and inquiry and proceedings have been on from 2021. Mr. Neville Roy Singham and NewsClick have gone against the ED and EOW to a court of law. Initially, the court of law had even granted them protection only from coercive action, not even dismiss the case or remove the case in any way. It allowed the proceedings to continue, and even that protection, which was given on an interim basis, has now in a sense come under question because the same court has now issued notices to Praveen Purkayastha saying why should that interim protection not be vacated. This issue is not a press freedom issue. This issue is fundamentally one, receiving money through dubious sources, and about 38 crores have been pumped into this group. It has come in, 9 crores have come in through FDI at a very high share price of 11,500 rupees for a company which was making losses in 2018. Immediately it gets so much money. The second angle the money came in from was a violation of PMLA, was the fact that 28 crores was paid for export of services. One of the services provided by this group, by the way, is electricity services provided by a 9th standard electrician who was paid 1.5 crore rupees. So these kinds of things have been done. So clearly the ED and the EOW had a liquor standard to come into this investigation. In the process, they have found that this goes certain places deeper, which is that it is also against the nation's sovereignty, it is also against the nation's interest, and there are a lot of evidences. There are email exchanges to identify as to how
No, 1 minute. I
was
didn't interrupt you. I didn't interrupt you. Mr. Poonawalla, I did not interrupt you until this point. My question is, how is it against the nation? How is this PMLA case, which has in a sense been going on for 2 years with little headway seemingly made? In the last 2 years, in this PMLA case, there hasn't been any arrest made. The evidence, by all accounts, which the Delhi High Court looked at, was not enough to ensure coercive action. Now you have these high-profile raids, and you're telling me it's against national sovereignty. Where is it against national sovereignty? Can you be more specific how it's against national sovereignty, Mr. Poonawalla?
Absolutely. First of all, Rajdeep, the NewsClick organization had gone there to get the proceedings quashed. All they got was a protection from coercive action. Clearly, this was not a clean sheet given to them by the court, and that too is in question because a notice has been issued that why it should not be vacated. Therefore, the question of your specific question, why arrests were not made, because of this interim protection that was granted to them. Point number 2, where does this go from being a PMLA offense to an offense under UAPA? Now look, that obviously the interrogations is on and the Delhi police will come out with a more categorical answer on that. But having said that, there are 3 or 4 points that I can immediately point out to you. Here there are email exchanges, and one of the email exchanges between Neville Roy Singham and Praveen Purkayastha openly talk about undermining India's positions and in sovereignty, whether it is on the border dispute, it talks about on the COVID management, it talks about spreading misinformation about India's position on many other subjects, and including issues like Rafale, on which they spread a large number of fake articles which were never given a corrigendum for, and the Supreme Court and other agencies have come out with the categorical finding on Rafale and other issues. Having said that, my limited
Those
point
are not
is
UAPA offenses. Those are not UAPA offenses. For God's sake, Mr. Poonawalla, read the UAPA Act. Those are not UAPA offenses. Those are not UAPA offenses. You are putting in a law, an anti-terror law, including detaining junior employees like a graphic designer. What is a graphic designer, a junior employee, got to do with an anti-terror law? Where does this fit in within UAPA, for God's sake?
Rajdeep, Rajdeep, let me answer that categorically once again, because perhaps undermining India's sovereignty is not an offense under UAPA for you, but that's having said that, let me give you a more specific example. Much of the money that was funneled through this
How is it if I write an article questioning the Indian government's policy on COVID or on border management, how does it become, how is writing an article or a video undermining sovereignty? Very quickly, please do explain.
Rajdeep, first of all, Gautam Navlakha, who continues, and now Gautam Navlakha has also not got relief. He's booked under UAPA. He's only been now put under house arrest. He has not been released by any court of law. Was one of the beneficiaries of the money that was funneled in through Neville Roy Singham and his agency into NewsClick. Can you please explain that relation? Should that not be investigated? Gautam Navlakha is continuing to be held in jail or in house arrest at least now under UAPA charges. So there is a direct link even with somebody who's accused of UAPA offenses, point number one. Point number two, please listen to me very carefully. There are two angles to this. The Delhi police has now not arrested nor has it detained or done anything against anybody's personal liberty. It has called people for questioning, those people you are mentioning about. They are being questioned that how have you got these proceeds? Please explain, come and give an explanation. After that, the Delhi police will come out with a more categorical finding as to why they have invoked UAPA. That is their job. But having said that, I have two questions. Just two questions, let me articulate them. One, if this is about press freedom, Rajdeep, and I take that for 10 seconds, the Congress party recently banned 14 journalists, including many of your colleagues. The Congress party is the one which put people like Kamal Shukla for putting out a Facebook post into charges of sedition. It put Mr. Nilesh Sharma into jail for months in Chhattisgarh. You have the situation in TMC-run government, put Mr. Bagchi in jail for reporting on Hooch. He's from ABP. You have a situation where Kerala has stopped or has booked people, including people from Asianet and Mathrubhumi, for doing their job. This is for them to champion the cause of press freedom is like the Satan preaching scriptures, point number one. Point number two, the Congress party, why is it always siding with those who have been with the Chinese propaganda? The digital emails and the transaction, the exchanges show, one email shows, and let me read out that, between Mr. Karath and Mr. Neville Roy Singham, where Mr. Karath says in 2021 that I thank you for the Guancha piece. It is a very revealing piece in this time where an anti-China sentiment has been hyped up by the media. Were you hyping up an anti-China sentiment, or was it in the aftermath of Galwan that there was a sense of anger against China? If Prabir Purkayastha asked Neville Roy Singham in another email that give me data of China to show that China is doing very well at managing COVID, but India and US have failed. Is this as per your editorial integrity? Do you take orders from somebody who pays you? Rajdeep, let's even ask this on the question of journalism and journalistic ethics. Do you take money to peddle a particular point of view?
Mr. Pudawala, I have been very generous in listening to you.